Robert had been divorced for 7 years. At 60, his daughter had finally worn him down. "Dad, you can't spend the rest of your life alone," she'd said. "Just try one date, please." So here he was at a quiet restaurant on a Friday evening waiting for someone named Victoria. His daughter had set it up through a mutual friend. Victoria was successful, she'd said, independent, kind. Robert had imagined a woman his age, perhaps a lawyer or a businesswoman, someone accomplished but still looking for companionship. He'd ironed his best shirt, practiced not talking too much about his work as an engineer. When Victoria arrived, Robert stood to greet her. Then he froze. She was in a wheelchair. The moment of truth. Robert's face must have shown everything because Victoria smiled. It was a sad smile, the smile of someone who'd seen this reaction before. "Hello, Robert. I'm Victoria Mendez." She extended her hand. "Before you decide to excuse yourself, I want you to know I understand." Most men do. Robert felt heat rise in his chest. He took her hand. It was warm, firm. "I'm not leaving," he said, and meant it, though he didn't quite understand why. They sat. The waiter brought menus. An awkward silence settled between them. "Your daughter didn't mention," Robert began, then trailed off, unsure how to finish. "That I'm paralyzed?" Victoria said evenly. "No, she probably didn't think it was her place. I became paralyzed 12 years ago. Car accident. I was 48. Robert nodded, unsure what to say. He'd prepared for small talk about hobbies and favorite books. "Not this, can I ask what you do?" he ventured. "I'm CEO of Mendez Corporation. We manufacture sustainable building materials." Victoria picked up her water glass with practiced ease. "I've run the company for 9 years, since 3 years after the accident." Robert blinked. "That's impressive." "It's not," Victoria said quietly. "It's just what I do. But I appreciate the kindness in your tone. Most people think paralysis means helplessness. It doesn't, it just means my legs don't work." Robert felt something shift inside him, a recognition of his own prejudice, his own assumptions. The conversation. As the evening continued, something unexpected happened. Robert stopped seeing the wheelchair. Or rather, he stopped seeing it as the most important thing about Victoria. He learned that she'd been terrified after the accident. She'd spent 6 months in depression, believing her life was over. She'd lost her marriage, her husband had left her during recovery, lost her confidence, lost her sense of self. Then one day, Victoria said, her eyes distant with memory, "My mother came and sat with me. She didn't say much. She just sat. And she said something I'll never forget. 'Victoria, you're still you. The accident didn't change who you are. It only changed what you can do, and that's a very different thing.' Your mother sounds wise," Robert said. "She was. She passed 5 years ago." Victoria smiled, genuinely this time, "But I carry her words with me. So when people look at me and see only the disability, I remember that they're looking at a limitation, not at me. The real me, my mind, my humor, my values, none of that changed." Robert leaned forward. "I'm sorry. I did that too, didn't I? When you first arrived." Victoria studied him. "You did. But you stayed. That matters more than you know." The turning point. They talked through dinner. Robert found himself truly listening, truly engaged in a way he hadn't been in years. Victoria told him about building her company back from nothing after the accident. How she'd had to relearn confidence. How she'd faced investors who wouldn't take her seriously because they assumed her disability meant her mind was affected too. How she'd proven them wrong, one deal at a time. "I've had 12 years to learn something most people never figure out," Victoria said. "Society tells us that wholeness comes from being able-bodied, that our worth is tied to our physical capability, but that's a lie we tell ourselves so we don't have to face our own fragility." Robert listened, and something in him resonated deeply. He'd spent his whole life trying to be strong, independent, self-sufficient, never vulnerable, never asking for help. "What changed for you?" he asked. "Besides accepting your situation?" Victoria was quiet for a moment. "I stopped performing for other people's comfort. I stopped trying to convince them I was still worthy. I just lived. And the people who could see past the wheelchair stayed. The ones who couldn't, their loss." She looked at him directly. "Does that make sense?" Yes, Robert said, it does. And it terrifies me. Why? Victoria asked gently. Because I've spent 60 years building walls, convincing myself I didn't need anyone. And you're sitting there telling me that vulnerability is actually the real strength. Victoria smiled. That genuine smile now, not the one that carried resignation. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. You just needed permission to believe it. Later that evening. When the evening ended, Robert walked Victoria to her car, an accessible van with a wheelchair lift professionally installed. Thank you for tonight, Victoria said. You have no idea how rare this is. What? Robert asked. A man who can listen, who can sit with something uncomfortable and not run away, who can eventually see me and not just my chair. Robert felt emotion rise in his throat. Thank you for letting me try. Will you want to do this again? Victoria asked, a hint of vulnerability in her voice. Or was this enough? Robert took a breath. I'd like to if you would, but I want to be honest. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to say stupid things. I'm going to sometimes see the wheelchair first because I'm human and I'm still learning. I know, Victoria said, and that's okay. We're all learning. 1 year later. Robert and Victoria sat on the patio of her beach house watching the sunset. They'd spent the year slowly building something real. Not perfect, but genuine. Victoria had taught him about perspective, about how the things we think will break us often become the doorways to our deepest growth. Robert had taught her, or rather reminded her, that she deserved to be loved exactly as she was. Not in spite of her disability, but as a complete person who happened to have experienced something most people couldn't imagine. Can I tell you something? Victoria said, squeezing his hand. When I agreed to that blind date, I had already decided it would be my last one. I was tired of the look in men's eyes when they realized I was ready to stop trying. What changed? Robert asked. You did, Victoria said simply. You were terrified and uncomfortable, but you stayed. And more than that, you kept showing up, day after day. You didn't try to fix me or inspire me or turn my life into some beautiful tragedy. You just loved me. Robert felt tears prick his eyes. You taught me how? No, Victoria corrected gently.